Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Valerie and you are watching The Henderson House. Today I'm going to be sharing with you a little bit about my heart to homeschool and why me and my husband are choosing to home educate our children as they grow up. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Valerie Henderson and I am a stay-at-home mom and married to a police officer, and we have 2 children. We are so excited to start home educating our children. Now, a little bit of my story. So I personally was homeschooled all the way throughout, all the years, even high school. So my first experience in a classroom wasn't until college, and I was fine. My husband was the opposite. My husband grew up going to public school his entire life, and he hated it. He did not enjoy his education experience at all. And so when we met and talked about our future and the things we wanted for our family, he did not want his children to experience the same type of education that he had. He was very adamant about that and did not want that for his kids. And I had a passion to home educate because of being home educated myself. There was just this really strong desire in me to want to educate our children. And at the time, I didn't know how passionate I would become about those things and what that would look like in the future, because we were dating at the time and we were just talking about these things. And now that we have children, we are even more so, yes, we are going to homeschool. And I'm going to share a little bit about our reasons why, not just because I was homeschooled. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, I was homeschooled, so I'm going to homeschool my kids. That's not the reason why. If that was the case, it was the mentality of, well, I went to public school, so we're going to send our kids to public school. If that was the mentality, then my husband would have made the decision to put our kids in public school. But that was not, and he did not want that for our kids. So over time and discussing and growing together and learning about different philosophies and things that implement into our homes for education, we agreed upon homeschooling. Now, homeschooling can look, it's just a blanket term, right? Homeschooling, home education. And for a lot of people, your reasons for homeschooling might look a little different than my reasons for homeschooling. But I think all of us have some core elements that are the same, and I love that about home education. I think a lot of people who home educate have the desire to want to nurture and cultivate their kids, and they don't want their children to be in the system. And I think that's a big part of home education, is parents are seeing the value of teaching their own kids within their home instead of leaving it up to a teacher in a classroom. Homeschooling for us and the desire to homeschool started obviously for me, being homeschooled my whole life. And then for my husband, the desire to homeschool really came from his own experience of not liking the education system that he was in, but also seeing where it is now, right? One of the biggest things for us is not putting our children in the secular system. We think, oh, my kid will just be a missionary to other kids. Nah, they won't. Nope. So the education system is just very broken, and we see it. Just even the caliber and the education of what these children are receiving nowadays is just not what we want for our kids. So that's a big reason. Number 1, we don't want our kids in the system. Number 2, home education allows us to customize what we want to give our children. It allows us to make Christ at the foundation of what we teach our children, and it allows us to really give them a firm foundation of what they believe, why they believe it, and how to actually express what they believe. That was a big thing that my parents did for us, and it really allowed for open communication as a family. It really allowed for just so much more culture in the home and growing up together and learning from each other, and not just being amongst your peers all the time who are learning all the same things as you. When you're around different ages and when you're around your siblings and all this stuff, you are learning from your environment and your siblings. And so that was a big part of it for us as well. Now, when someone is home educating, you're always going to find yourself within some sort of method, right? Some people focus on curriculum choices and stuff like that. For us personally, it's just the philosophy of what we believe education is in our home. And education just doesn't come from curriculum or lessons or unit studies. For us, education is a life, and that's something that I have started to really learn and embrace through studying Charlotte Mason's philosophy of home education. If you don't know who Charlotte Mason is, she was a woman from the Victorian era. She has several books of her whole entire philosophy of education, and I have started to read and study those alongside some other mothers, and I have been learning so much. Now, the interesting thing is, as I grow as a mother and I read these other books outside of the Charlotte Mason world, like other homeschool books and that are motivating and encouraging for mothers to read, a lot of them take from Charlotte Mason and her philosophy, her principles, and all these things. So if you're someone who is kind of new to the homeschooling world, I highly recommend just reading her source. Home education in the Victorian era was, she was like pioneer of all of this whole movement, if you think about it in a sense, and her philosophy of education has trickled through countless other methods within the homeschool world. And so if you think you know who Charlotte Mason is, you probably don't, and I would highly recommend really reading her work and getting to know who she was, because it has just been absolutely wonderful. So a big motivation for us and what we're doing in our home is structuring our home around an entire education that is life, because education is a life. It's the science of relations and how things relate to each other and how things are cultivated within habits to routines, from reading living books that teach our children morals and character, from narration and actual oral activity versus just memorization and regurgitation. Everything within Charlotte Mason, and I'm still learning about her, has just really encouraged me as a mother. It has simplified education. Getting to know and read Charlotte Mason has really solidified my passion for choosing to home educate our kids, and it's just been really beautiful to read her work. Another big part of home educating for us in our home is that we can have freedom to be a family. So as a first responder family, our routines and schedule is not traditional, okay? My husband works crazy hours. A lot of times it's just me and the kids, and daddy is at work. And so the way we structure our days is not your typical day. And so for us, home educating is actually a really wonderful way to still have freedom, where our kids will get quality time with their dad. Our lives together can be cultivated to build good relationships, and our children will be able to know that they can have and trust and do life with dad around. You know, it's not just like dad goes to work, never gets to see the kids, or comes home, gets to see the kids for like an hour or two before they go to bed. And there's very little time to cultivate those relationships. So that's the case for a lot of people when they're in the education system, and it's just harder to build those relationships with parent and child. So for us, we have found that home educating is going to be a real big blessing to fit our first responder family lifestyle, because my husband is a second shift officer, so we're able to customize our days and our routine and our habits around our school time, right? Because remember, education is a life. It's not just from the curriculum and your sit down time. Every element of your day is educating your child. So, but when we start our a little bit more of our structured days in the fall, because my oldest will be 5, and although he's not school age, we're going to be doing very simple things for him to find and cultivate the habit of attention and different things like that, which are really important as he prepares himself for learning when he's 6 years old. More learning, right? So a lot of the stuff that him and I will be doing will be through play anyways, but we are going to have kind of a specific time of day that we do that. And so for us, it's going to be really great as a first responder family who homeschools, where we're able to have our mornings together as a family. Okay, we'll be able to have our mornings, we'll be able to have our family time before daddy gets ready for work. And then as daddy gets ready for work, which is usually around lunchtime, after lunch, we'll be able to have our actual structured, I'm very loosely using that word, time frame where we learn by play and all of those things, which will be really nice because then daddy will be at work and we'll have our time together, me and my son. My daughter is little, so she's only 1. If our kids were in the system, they, as they got older, they would never get to really see their dad. It's just the case, right? So now home educating allows us the freedom to work with my husband's schedule and able to really implement those habits of our household that allow us to create these different liturgies in our home, which we have really been working on as a family, because that is a huge part of education. And our children will remember those things, and as they grow up, I could care less where they go to college or what they choose to do for their job. If they're both entrepreneurs and successful in that way, great. It doesn't matter, as long as they love the Lord and they choose to follow him one day, Lord willing. Then my husband and I will have done our job. And so our goal in homeschooling is not about being above other people or saying that our kid is going to have a better education. Will they have a better education? Most likely, because the education system is just so broken. But the goal in home educating our children is to give them the foundation and cultivate them in ways that their character and their moral compass can grow, and that Christ will be at the center and at the foundation of their life, and in everything that they learn will be through the Bible first and what Scripture, the infallible Word of God, says, which is a really beautiful thing. And as Charlotte Mason says, children are born persons and they are made in the image of God. And so it is so important to see each child is uniquely different and to cultivate that child. It's like a little garden where we're cultivating that child to grow and to it's just a wonderful thing. I am so excited to be on this homeschool journey. So if you watched this video all the way through, thank you for watching. And I hope that you subscribe and follow along as I navigate this very new journey of homeschooling. Just because I'm a second generation homeschooler does not mean I have all of the answers of homeschooling. I am very blessed to have a community of mothers that I have found here locally. A lot of them go to my church, and it has just been a blessing to have those mothers in my life, to speak into my life, and to also encourage me and to teach me as a younger mother, because a lot of them have older kids. And so it's really wonderful to be able to have that community to learn from. So I hope that this video will encourage you. And if you are looking into homeschooling and just curious of where to start, or just feel overwhelmed and not knowing what to do, and I'm learning just like you are, and I'm taking those steps as a mom to teach my kids at home, because I truly believe that that is a biblical calling to educate our children and to train up the child as they should go. Thank you for watching today's video and for the reasons why we are choosing to homeschool our children. Make sure to subscribe and follow along for more. Bye.